Bonsoir, mes amis. Welcome back to Monaco. Last time we cleaned out the museum. This time, let's take a nice little stroll down the red carpet. It definitely looks like the gentleman's going to make a little bit of a mess on his way to Monaco. But, I guess that's all for the best. We wouldn't want anybody to recognize him, right? So, this mission is sort of the reverse of what it was before. Whereas in the locksmith story, he's sitting there talking about the gentleman's girlfriend was, we had to go pick her up from the club, and we found she was standing over David's body. And this time around, it sounds like, well, we started out here, instead of having to go and pick somebody up from the mess they got in. This time we're perpetrating the mess and trying to escape before anybody can think any better of it. And just to recap on the story so far, and I haven't planned this out ahead of time, so if I get a little lost, stick with me. The locksmith story is that they were going to escape with the gentleman, except that his boat was blown up. The boat they were going to escape on to Lebanon was blown up. The gentleman lays the blame for this inconvenient explosion at David's feet, saying he has enemies. Well, David is the head of Securitech Corporation. He's the CEO. So, honestly, if you're going to have anybody, for an enemy, the head of a security corporation is not really a good guy. So, they go through doing a couple thefts here and there because, we're criminals. Possibly it's in our nature to steal. Well, that being all said and done, at one point the gentleman, keeps asking them favors and they keep obliging. Eventually the gentleman asks them to go pick up his girlfriend from the Red Club, which is where we're at now. Well, the girlfriend is found standing over David's dead body. So, that's the story so far for the locksmith. For the pickpocket story, he takes things a little bit differently. Once we got to the gentleman's boat, it was never the plan to escape. The gentleman's plan was to blow up the boat and make it look like the gentleman had died. While he was doing that, they then went to the hospital to replace traces of their dental records. Swap out the evidence of themselves with evidence of the Securitech CEO, David. While they were on the way to doing that, they also broke into Securitech Corps and stole any footage that would show David as having been at Securitech during this time of events. While at Securitech, they also took some of David's DNA, some of his identifying characteristics, and they planted the evidence at the Ocean Museum, the aquarium, where the gentleman had been known to have just recently committed a theft. and they replace the evidence of themselves with evidence of David. So, as they're effectively pinning all of their crimes on David, now, it only makes sense to pull David out of the picture, right? The only person who can effectively say, no, I wasn't there, is David. And, well, if David is dead, then who's to argue? The second floor is, I think it's pretty neat in how it's reworked. Whereas before it was more of a test in just how many civilians you can annoy and, you know, getting used to the concept of civilians can't really hurt you. Now, there's a lot more machine gun guards, and you still have the time window to run around and annoy the civilians and get everything done, but your time window is much smaller this time around. Personally, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's pretty neat. This level kind of prepares you for getting used to dodging large groups of people, or just getting used to the concept that no matter how hard you try, eventually you're going to get somebody's attention, and that's not a bad thing to realize. As a matter of fact, for many of the levels from here on, there are just going to be so many guards that you really can't avoid them. All you can do is mitigate their effect. Even so, it's kind of nice they didn't have the cops bursting in as soon as David's body was killed. You know, it's not like the Monaco hotel where you have to move quickly, or else the gendarme are going to come in and ruin your day. An interesting point is that Hector, the pickpocket's monkey, will actually keep doors open. On the other hand, he can't actually open alarm doors, so you'll see Hector go all the way around and collect gold from me in the area that's still blacked out. I think that's a neat touch, and Hector will always make his way back to you. So, you know, it really makes sense that, you know, the monkey can't get through an alarm door. But as to whether it makes sense or not, it's also pretty convenient as far as gameplay goes. If you're really thinking through it, that could probably be a pretty good speedrunning trick.
Quoi? Je vais te tuer si je t'attrape. J'étais sûr d'avoir entendu un bruit.
J'ai fait un pass backstage pour son dernier concert. Ah non, arrêtez-vous. Stop.
Quoi? Qui est là? Quoi?
Oh mon dieu, oh mon dieu.
J'étais sûr d'avoir entendu quelque chose. J'étais sûr d'avoir entendu quelque chose. J'étais sûr d'avoir entendu un bruit.
Bon, ça devait être un chat. Arrête-toi, voleur!
Much the same as before, the last place we want to go before we exit is the underground dance party. But this time, instead of a pounding beat. Looks like all we're doing is a, well, it's a pretty sedate conga line, really. The string of civilians and the one guard at the end will just make their way around the center area. The security footage you're trying to steal here is in the room on the left. There are 2 computers in the bottom right that you can use to get past that alarm door, but if you're feeling froggy, you can do that too. Or if you have wrenches. And if not, there's some right next to this area. The only problem you may run into is either timing the laser or not having enough gold to use wrenches. Probably the fastest way to get to the cars is to go back to this bottom left street level and use the secret passage behind the bush, but if you're having trouble, there's also a rocket launcher here. It's neat, but I personally don't have much use for it. But yeah, secret passage behind the bush is the fastest way to get to a car. And once you're there, you can just easily break in and that'll do it. Please join me next time when we once again cast our pearls before swine.